From a height of 10,000 feet, the island appears as a dying organ drifting in a sea of thick, silt-heavy mud. A vast expanse of gray water stretches to the horizon, swallowing the emerald path that once connected this place to the world. No towering hardwoods grow here, and no endless swaying grasslands offer their bounty to the giants trapped upon this drowning shore. Instead, shallow lagoons reflect a cold, slate-colored sky, while jagged streaks of salt-bleached earth are carved into puzzles by the rising tide. At the center of this desolate landscape, a herd of elephants stands huddled together, their massive bodies casting long, lonely shadows. No one knows the exact moment the ground surrendered to the sea, perhaps a sudden seismic shift or a slow, relentless glacial melt. Within the span of a few generations, the familiar migratory paths have vanished beneath a world of choking brine and suffocating silt. The last of the matriarchs stands at the very edge of the salt spray, her trunk raised toward the distant, invisible mainland. She hears the low rumble of thunder echoing from the lost continent, a sound that promises rain but offers no way home. Time begins to sharpen its teeth, ready to consume the giants who were never meant to live in such a cramped, watery prison. The first year opens in a state of absolute, frantic chaos as the herd struggles to understand their permanent isolation. Led cows drive their families along the waterline for hundreds of kilometers, searching for the solid land that simply no longer exists. They trudge through knee-deep mire and tangled mangrove roots, their heavy feet creating sucking sounds that echo like heartbeats across the empty flats. Where once there was a golden savanna teeming with life, there is now only a black, featureless ocean meeting a gray sky. Food becomes the first and most brutal master of their new, restricted lives on the shrinking island. The massive bulls require hundreds of kilograms of vegetation every day, a debt the island's stunted flora cannot possibly pay. The herd is forced to consume unconventional sources of nutrition. Tough, silica-rich reeds that wear down their molars. Fibrous mangrove roots caked in salt and grit. Bitter, low-growing shrubs that cling to the rocky outcrops. Salty patches of coastal succulents. At night, the sound of empty stomachs growling fills the cold, damp mist that rolls off the surrounding sea. The smallest calves are the first to succumb, their energy spent searching for milk that their starving mothers can no longer produce. Death here does not come with the roar of a predator, for there are no lions or hyenas on this sodden rock. It comes silently, a slow fading of light in the eyes of a creature that simply has nothing left to burn. As resources dwindle, the gentle social structures of the herd begin to fray under the pressure of survival. Matriarchs become aggressive, guarding the few precious puddles of rainwater that collect in the hollows of the rocks after a storm. Conflict, once a rare and ritualized event, becomes a daily necessity as tusks clash with a dry, hollow sound amidst the reeds. But the most terrifying aspect of this new world is the absolute and crushing silence that has replaced the song of the wild. No great bustards cry out from the tall grass, and no migrating wildebeest shake the ground with their thundering hooves. The scent of sun-baked hay and dry earth has been replaced by the pungent, rotting odor of tidal mud and dead fish. Water is everywhere, yet it is a barrier rather than a source of life for these creatures of the dust. 10 years pass, and the island begins to sculpt the elephants in ways that are nearly invisible to the naked eye. The largest, most majestic bulls have all perished, their massive skeletons bleaching white against the dark, muddy shores. A body that was once a fortress on the savanna has become a metabolic liability in a land of scarcity. Only the smaller individuals survive long enough to breed, moving with greater ease through the thick, yielding silt of the lagoons. Nature does not make a conscious choice, but rather filters out those who cannot endure the hunger. Every drought and every failed harvest favors the compact, the efficient, and the small. This is the silent engine of evolution, grinding away the excess of 1,000,000 years of giantism. Behavioral patterns shift as the elephants learn to map the hidden springs that bubble up beneath the salt crust. The older females become living cartographies, memorizing the precise locations of edible roots and safe drinking holes. During the day, the heat on the island becomes unbearable because the shade-giving canopy has long since vanished. To conserve moisture and energy, the herd transitions into a nocturnal existence, sleeping in the mud during the blistering afternoons. Under the pale blue light of a crescent moon, The elephants move like ghosts through the reflecting pools. They no longer trumpet their presence to the world, for there is no one left to hear them and no territory to claim. They have become quiet shadows, their footfalls muffled by the soft, wet earth and the sound of the surf. The clock of the world begins to spin faster, blurring the days into centuries and the centuries into millennia. 100 years. 1,000 years. 10,000 years. The island rises and falls with the pulse of ancient climate cycles, sometimes expanding and sometimes shrinking to a mere sandbar. Deep, oxygen-poor swamps form in the lowlands, filled with black water and the skeletons of fallen mangroves. The elephants are now unrecognizable to the ghosts of their ancestors who once walked the mainland. Their bodies have lowered significantly, bringing them closer to the nutritious roots that grow in the shallows. Their legs have grown shorter and thicker, providing stability on the treacherous, shifting floor of the island. Large, sweeping tusks have shrunk into short, functional spikes used for prying bark and digging for tubers. In an environment with no predators and few minerals, the energy required to grow massive ivory is better spent elsewhere. Their ears, once great cooling fans for the African sun, have reduced in size to conserve body heat. In the humid, wind-swept air of the ocean, the need to shed heat has been replaced by the need to stay warm. Even their skin has undergone a transformation, becoming darker and more rugged to resist the salt and parasites. Heavy folds of hide protect their joints from the abrasive grit of the constant tidal flow. This is no longer a savanna elephant, but a specialized master of the maritime marsh. The camera of time pans forward to the milestone of 1 million years. The island has become an alien labyrinth of tangled wood and emerald green water under a heavy, suffocating mist. A deep, blood-red sun hangs low in the sky, its light filtered through a thick layer of prehistoric smog. The air is thick with the buzzing of giant insects and the heavy, metallic smell of stagnant water. From the depths of the mangrove thicket, a miniature herd emerges into the dim, crimson light. These creatures stand only as high as the shoulder of the giants who first set foot on this soil. Their bodies are compact and muscular, resembling a strange fusion between a hippopotamus and an ancient proboscidean. They move with a fluid, silent grace, their wide, splayed feet preventing them from sinking into the black muck. Their trunks are shorter, but far more nimble, capable of extracting delicate water plants from beneath the surface. They do not fear the deep water, for it has become their sanctuary and their primary source of life. Calves are born into the water, swimming with their mothers through the deep channels before they can even walk. Communication has shifted to low-frequency vibrations that travel through the water and the mud. These are secret, subsonic messages that no human ear could ever hope to detect in the swampy air. Every memory of the Golden Plains and the dust-choked migrations has been scrubbed from their genetic code. They do not know that their ancestors once walked under the vast, open skies of a continent they will never see. 1 million years of isolation has perfected them for this specific, watery corner of the earth. But the cycle of the planet is never truly static, and the world is about to change once more. The great ice caps begin to grow, locking away the world's water in a grip of frozen white. Very slowly, the sea level begins to drop, revealing the jagged bones of the ancient seafloor. Islands that were once separated by leagues of treacherous water begin to reach out toward one another. For the first time in an epoch, the island is no longer an island, but a peninsula extending from the mainland. A massive land bridge of cracked salt and drying mud rises from the depths, smelling of the abyss. The dwarf elephants sense the change before they see it, catching strange scents on the cooling wind. They smell dry grass. They smell hot earth. They smell the musk of unfamiliar animals. They smell a world that is vast beyond their wildest, instinctual imaginings. On a morning thick with silver fog, the two halves of a broken lineage finally converge. On one side of the new plains stand the mainland titans, the towering giants of the modern savanna. They are living tanks, with legs like pillars and ivory that gleams like polished bone in the dawn. On the other side stand the island dwarves, the dark, silent shadows of the mangrove swamps. They are less than half the height of their cousins, their skin stained black by 1 million years of mud. Both groups stand perfectly still, a frozen tableau of two different paths taken by the same blood. There is no charge, no aggression, and no immediate attempt to flee from the strange mirror before them. They simply watch each other across the gap of 1,000,000 years, breathing in the scent of their shared history. It is a collision of two separate evolutionary realities meeting at the end of a long, lonely road. The camera slows, capturing the wind whipping through the newly exposed seagrasses between the herds. The shrill cry of a savanna hawk mingles with the deep, rhythmic croaking of a swamp frog. A small, dark calf from the island herd takes a tentative step forward into the dry, unfamiliar grass. It approaches a massive, ancient matriarch from the mainland, her hide scarred by 1,000 battles. The old giant lowers her trunk, moving with a gentleness that defies her incredible, mountain-like bulk. She touches the calf lightly on the forehead, her sensitive tip brushing against the coarse, salt-crusted hair. This is a gesture of recognition that existed long before the oceans rose to tear their world apart. Bodies have been shrunk and reshaped by the harsh demands of the island's limited resources. Genetic codes have drifted and adapted, creating two creatures that look like entirely different species. But deep within the marrow of their bones, a flicker of ancient recognition remains untouched by time. 1,000,000 years of evolution has changed the shape, but it has not yet broken the spirit of the herd. The island elephants turn their backs on the receding swamps and follow the giants into the rising sun.